G'day guys, this episode is brought to you by our sponsors supshq.com.au. Use the code BWB10 at checkout to receive 10% off and direct shipping.
All right, let's do it. G'day, guys and girls, listeners, followers, Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're listening from. We appreciate you stopping by. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Bros with Brains, joined by my co-host, or the only one that wants to show up because Chris is still away and leaving us high and dry. Yeah, Scaffy, how are you, mate?
Good, bro. Good. I like that another fantastic episode as appointed fantastic by myself. None of the listeners have said it's fantastic. That's fine. I'll say it for them.
It's the vibe that's received from the listeners.
Yeah, that's fair. And even if they didn't like it, well, fuck them. Not kidding. I love you all guys. Love you all, guys. I swear.
They don't get a choice. It's just good. You got to suck it up.
Exactly right. I did speak to Chris this morning. He reckons he'll be on hopefully next week. So he reckons it's going to take a solid 4 to 5 days to get up there because they're going to cruise up. So obviously they're driving up.
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Yeah, they'll stop heaps. And I think he said he's leaving on Friday. So, if he can get up and get some sort of a setup going, he might be on next week, but should be either next week or the week after. So
I was going to try and catch him when he comes through Brisbane. So hopefully he remembers. I'll message him anyway before he leaves, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, and I think actually, like I was saying to you off air the other day, I think I'm coming up for APL Nationals. It looks like June. I want to say it's June 16th or something like that. I did see it somewhere. You think I'd be ahead of this being a powerlifting coach, but I'm not. There's so many feds and so many bloody comps. It's like I can't keep up.
I thought bodybuilding had a lot.
Man, it's just really the federations that kill you because then the federations will change their dates and shit. June 17th to the 19th.
Okay. How many you got in there?
So far, 1, potentially 2. We'll see if he comes in. He did pro raw on the weekend, so work and stuff is flogging him. So we'll see if he can get some time off and get up there for the weekend and make it a girls' trip. So we'll
very fair.
Yeah,
well, I guess
killed it at pro raw, which is always nice. I think it's funny people forget. It's like without. I've been in this powerlifting game for like 5-6 years. It's been a very long time, and obviously comps haven't happened for a few years, right? But even like I guess in the bodybuilding world, it's a very small community. So it's like powerlifting community is very small. So as soon as you go to a comp, it's like especially pro raw, it's a national comp. It's international, but obviously with international travel is a bit tricky. But catching up with the people I haven't seen, and like these are guys that are strong as fuck. They have world records and sort of stuff. And my client's just like, man, like, do you know every coach and like lifter here? I'm like, bro, I've been in this game a long time. Like, it's nothing to do with anything. I've been here a long time. I know a lot of these guys because I knew these guys when they were coming up and they didn't have a name. Like, they
didn't have a fucking PR next to them yet.
Yeah. No one knew who they were. Like, this has been a while, man. It's just.
I was the same when one of my clients was talking about a certain client, a certain friend of theirs who was coached by a certain person. They mentioned 2 things about this person's program. I was like, "Is this that person?" And they're like, "How'd you know?" And I was like,
25,000 sets a week of thrusts and glute kickbacks. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. He's like, how do you know this? I'm like, right, trust me. When it comes to names and reputations, like this industry is so small that it's just like a click of the finger in your head, just like, oh, I know who that is. You just basically have to mention a small little scenario in which that person existed.
It's funny that like every coach has their trait that they're known by.
Yeah.
It makes it interesting. But it was a good comp. Literally 9 for 9 lifts. So didn't miss a lift. And got literally every light was a white light. So for those that don't know powerlifting, you have a 3 light system. It's either 3 whites or 3 reds. Not really. You have whites and reds. You need a minimum of 2 whites to have it as a good lift. Usually a pro raw and big comps, there's usually one ref that always just red lights everybody, even if it's a good lift.
Red light.
It's just red light. It's just like their automatic function is red light.
Your job this week, piss everyone off.
Literally just red light. And usually it's a ref that's from WA, so even more fun. But literally he got every single lift was white lights across the board, which is good.
Very good.
Yeah, PB total, 757 total, which is always nice.
Very good.
Came 4th, couple of kilos off 3rd, but that's all good.
And this is why I referred someone to you this morning.
Yes, which I have spoken to, and we're going to get coffee. Hopefully he listens to the show. I'm going to make him shout.
I realized, like, I thought because he's a young pup that used to work with me at Nutrition Warehouse at my store, and he moved down to Tassie, and then I saw him get in a car and he was like driving up. I thought he was in Sydney, so I was like, oh man, like, make sure you go straight through, contact this guy. You'll know some guys in Sydney. And he's like, oh, no, I'm in Melbourne. I'm like, oh, just go see him.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, I'll catch up. I'm like, done. Coffee.
Like, it made me sound good. I'm like, I've got like 3 contacts down there for powerlifting. It'll be fun.
I've got one person who does both.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good weekend. How about you, man? What's been going on? Same shit, different day?
Yeah, pretty much, man. Training's ticking over. Moving deeper into our prep stage, so that's really good. I got 4 highs and 3 lows at the moment, which is good. I'm recomping around 100. I keep going between 102 to 100, 100.2 to about 101. My highs are punching 4,200, which is the highest I've ever been for like a pre-prep phase. My lows are about 2,400. So just kind of ticking through that, getting cardio in slowly, being consistent with food, with just work and stuff. I was very, very back end eating, and it was never comfortable. So I'm waking up, like my last hack squat block, we got, what was it? I don't know. It's very, very, I mean, I don't think it's a big number, but some people will. But coming from 10 kilos aside 14 months ago to 180 for 3 sets of 8, I was pretty happy, especially we just keep finding that intensity is going up. It's just getting funner and funner. Like, someone messaged me today and they're like, oh, do you find that now you're coaching, your love for training's fallen off? I'm like, fuck no, it's getting better.
Yeah.
Like, the better I get at it, the better I know it, the better I implement my own stuff and practice what I preach and say my own things and share that stuff. The more I want to train harder, show people what I actually do, like how fun it can be, why we do it. So yeah, training block was sick. I yacked twice on 2 sets and then got caught up pendulums, had a yak on there. So yeah, intensity's been good. Training's been good. And yeah, just I literally just finished uploading all of the content to Teachable. So 6 weeks to tracking proficiency is going to be available to our clients probably by the end of the week. And then I will, cool thing about Teachable is you can upload people for free as like affiliates or free students. So it'll pretty much just be once you start with us, we upload you to here. You go, start doing it
as part of their onboarding.
Yeah, part of the onboarding. So that'll be a neat little thing. And then if it goes well, which I think it will, it's not complex. I like to keep videos short, like 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's all people have the attention span for.
Exactly. Like, I don't like J3. Some of the early videos are good, and then it goes into like half-hour rants on hypertrophy. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, like you need to break that up.
Yeah.
So that to me, I know he has timestamps, but I was just like, I'd rather have a 2-minute ramble, 5-minute ramble, move on to a quiz or the next point. So that's got a little bit of text to add to it. Like for every module, there's videos. For every video, there's text.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So a little bit of that to add, and then that's pretty much done. So pretty excited for that.
Look at you go, getting your shit done, ticking tasks off that were on the window there, off the mirror. Now they're on the board. Start moving.
Now they're on Notion.
Yeah.
I lost my computer, I'd be fucked.
Yeah, 100% fucked. You're not wrong.
But I guess with the big fella coming up and you coming up as well, we should probably we were talking about this off air. We'll actually just on Instagram messages.
Yeah.
We should probably start organizing, because I already spoke to a few facilities.
Yeah.
We should probably start organizing a seminar or a paid workshop or a live podcast episode at a facility.
Yeah, we can do that. So the couch at your place isn't available for podcasting. Is that what you're saying? The black couch that you were going to put there?
It's not black.
Well, fuck.
Used to be Dalton Isabel, so I don't know if it's clean or not. But
we know that they're not going to listen to this episode, so that's okay.
the many nights in the doghouse for Dalt, so I'm sure there's a few stains there. No, that could be fun. That could be fun.
We'll work it out. We'll find someone somewhere.
I think for the listeners, and there are a few who are the diehard listeners, give us some things we should either talk about in person. We should seminar. What would be a good 2-hour seminar or workshop? Whether we do it a whole day event, like we can make it a whole day event and just charge for it. Get all 3 of us across there and have a fair bit to ramble on. Yeah, I think that'd be interesting, because I know World Stafford spoke to the owner there. He just needs like a bit of notice, a bit of time.
Of course,
He should be. He said he's pretty happy to accommodate in the group room. So if you made it a weekend or something like that, and just, excuse me,
you like rent the room,
rent the room basically. Yeah.
We can definitely look at that. Maybe we'll throw it up on the socials and get a
Yeah.
gauge if people want to jump in and shit.
Yeah, just make it something. I'm sure between my clients being there, like already up here and stuff, there'd be plenty to actually turn up and get some free listens.
I'm sure it'll be like training and PEDs. Let's be real. That's what they always say.
Like, to be fair, at World Stafford, we pretty much should just be how do we execute movements properly? Because fuck.
Yeah, I mean, we can do like a half day of each.
Me and Tom were hurting this morning watching it. I was like, oh, how are you people being paid money?
Offer it to like the people in the gym as well. Like, this is open for all you guys.
Come on in. You guys, you look like you got plenty to learn. Come on in.
Well, I feel like this should be a nice segue into our little ranting topic, which is going to be a bit of fun. Yeah. Like I've said this for many years. And honestly, one of my good mates is a chiropractor, right? And he's got on his card like Doctor whatever, and I give him shit the entire time.
Brooklyn's gonna love this.
Yeah, and the only reason why, and he'll admit, he goes, mate, the only reason why I put it up on there, you know why? Because it gets me clients. It's like, it's the only reason. He goes, I'll be as transparent as fuck. I'm not a doctor. It's just, that's what they call it. That's what I get to title myself. That's what I'm doing. And that's it. I'm like, you know what? I'll give you props for that because you're not a doctor, bro. But those qualifications that we have. So it's even funny. What's even more funny is we have the two distinct differences in, or three, I guess, in total. PhDs or doctorates doesn't make you a medical doctor. You can still be referred to you can't really be referred to as doctor. You have a doctorate in a certain topic.
Doctorate.
Yeah, which means like you have the highest achievement possible for that particular realm that you dive into.
Yes.
And what's even more funny is a PhD usually is in such a minute area, no one else on the planet cares about it. It's like you've gone in and learnt it because you cared, which is awesome. It doesn't make you a doctor. It just makes you a very, it should in theory make you an expert in maybe the exact field you researched and maybe subsequent fields around. You've got a very good base of knowledge. I haven't really seen many PhDs. I mean, I guess there's people that I associate with calling themselves doctor. So I'm not sure if that's the same thing that you've had. But for me, doctorates, a doctor of chiropractic. I think there might even be, is there a doctor of physiotherapy? I can't remember. I just know the chiropractic one's a big one because it's like, you are not a fucking doctor, brother. Like, sorry, if you are a chiropractor, and that's awesome because that's very hard to still do. Like, it requires a lot of work. You're a very knowledgeable person. You are not a fucking doctor because you did not go to medical school. Plain and simple, end of discussion. Okay, next topic. Like,
just to continue that even into my field, to be a doctor of psychology still requires the same time and schooling as a medical doctor because it's a medically allied health recognized field. So to be a doctor of psychology, you still have to do your 3 years undergrad, your 2 years postgrad as an honors, because we don't have honors inside the undergrad. You have to get recognized to even attend the honors.
Yes.
Then from there, you have to get accepted into a master's program, specifically to a master's program, of which requires a thesis. It's not just a postgrad degree. It actually requires a thesis. Then from there, to have a doctorate of psychology, specifically in like a specialization of, say,
in a very, very, very minute field of psychology.
That's where you go on to do like your PhD thesis, which is like 20,000 words. Like, even the master's thesis is between 12 to 15 in your final dissertation.
Yeah, mine was 10.
Like, not small. No. And that's like like you run it through a support system, faculty of staff. You run it through like a postgraduate student program. Like, they set you up to help, but at the same time, like, it's a lot of work.
Yes.
And that then gets you to be a doctor of psychology, whatever that.
You have a doctorate in a minute field of psychology. You're not,
and you can call yourself you can basically call yourself a doctor of psychology or like sports psychology, whatever. Yeah. Most of the time, they don't even do it. They'll just call themselves a therapist or a psychologist.
Yeah, I guess. How many people do you go to? How many psychologists, psychiatrists do you see that call themselves an actual doctor? They don't.
Exactly. Jordan Peterson's the most renowned psychologist in the world at this point doesn't call himself doctor.
No, like
it's Dr. JB Peterson, but it's not. He doesn't go, "Hey, I'm Dr. JB Peterson."
Yeah, it's like it's because we have always, had the connotation of doctor is a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Anything to do with the medical field is a doctor. Like that's it. Like no claiming that you're a doctor of chiropractic or a doctor of physiotherapy or a doctor of this, doctor. Like, nah, bruh.
The other thing to look at too, like when you even look at the differences and you look at doctorates, and when people say like, yeah, they're super intelligent at this thing, therefore they're an expert in the field or whatever it may be. You also have to look at how a doctorate or a PhD program actually takes place. Firstly, the university itself has to have approved funding. It has to be approved to host that degree of research. Yeah. So that means that you have to go attend a university or apply to a uni that is vocational in that thing that you're attempting to study. They provide the research opportunities. So this is what we're looking at doing PhDs in. We need the students or the researchers to conduct it. You will be the head researcher for your PhD. Then you have to recognize the fact that we have what's called your top drawer biases and your top drawer effects of publishers and research journals. Will they accept the PhD that you're researching? If they're going to say no, is it likely that the university is going to want to study it? Probably not, because it's going to be a waste of time and money.
Exactly.
Then from there, you have to accept the fact that there are social implications of research that's produced, published, or financed. If it comes out and you're studying something that may be implicable in certain areas of the social justice world where it may not be acceptable or tolerated, chances are it's either going to be dismissed, it's going to be thrown away, it's going to be discredited, it's going to be said like funding will stop, because it's going to bring negative publicity to the university that's a private enterprise.
Exactly right, and that's the biggest thing. It has to benefit the uni, and if it doesn't benefit the uni, guess what? You will not be doing the research unless you fund it yourself.
Yep.
Which nobody does, because you've just finished a master's degree and you have no money,
probably broke.
You have no job. Yeah.
Out of all the people I've spoken to, I think I'm probably the only person who's attempting to set up finance before going to uni.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it's the only person to ever done it ever.
Yeah, like I was looking at a master's. Oh no, I was looking at a PhD way back when I finished, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Nah, not interested.
The thing is, it really just becomes like, short unless you love being a researcher. Like I remember seeing Alan Aragon's post about this. Unless you genuinely love being a researcher, there's no extra credibility that comes from a PhD.
Not in the slightest. Being able to read and interpret the actual research that's done and being able to then apply it and educate on it is probably a bigger thing than it is to actually do the research. Doing the research, I mean, it does have its merit. Don't get me wrong. Like I've sat in on a couple of research projects before, which are pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's a different world, but at the same time, it's like, do you need to do research to be a good coach? No. So don't do research. Like you do research because you're a nerd.
Yeah. If you enjoy learning these things and studying these things, providing the information, by all means. Yeah, but do you need to sit there and read?
Money?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not.
But yeah, all these things, like, so to get to where this ramble came from or started, a friend of mine passed on that a friend of hers attended a workshop. Now, the workshop was to do with life development, the wheel of life and life balance, and how to excel in all areas, like which already we've discussed and I know for a fact isn't how it works.
Yeah, Ben's favorite topic.
Yeah. And then from there, it was into breath work. And then from breath work, it led to the stimulation of DMT through the pituitary gland as a result of this specific practice of breathing. Mm-hmm. Now, this person also claimed in his bio to be a neuroscience researcher and a quantum researcher, because he refers to it as quantum DMT. Now,
BRB going back to Google. Let's have a look.
Now, the other thing is this guy was on the Ninja Warrior. And on top of this, let's to wrap all this into one nice little present and give everyone a laugh. Of everything that he claims to study and help you with and develop, he has a doctorate in his name, a doctor of chiropractic. So, inside a degree of a doctorate of chiropractic does not come with life development, life coaching, life mentoring. It doesn't come with breathing techniques. It doesn't come with the neuroscience research that he claims to understand. It doesn't come with any sort of quantum physics or science of which you can somehow interpret from breathing. And it also doesn't come with pharmacology and understanding how DMT works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of reading what quantum breathing is. And according to Google, quantum breath is a method of energy healing developed by D. Wilson. Quantum breath includes meditation, breathwork, and energy awareness techniques in order to do self-healing and offer energy healing to others. Your body is a reflection of your life, of the decisions that you have made, the food that you have eaten, and the lifestyle that you have experienced, the work you have done, and the relationships that you have had. All affects how you are. Your stress levels have a major effect on your body, as do your thoughts and emotions. $32 an hour. 32 pounds an hour. Righto.
See, this is my favorite part, right? One of my favorite parts is they say enough that sounds smart and catchy. They say it in a way that's like very evoking in emotion and thought process. It's like, holy shit, that's me. I have to sign up. I'm that person. They use the catchy titles like doctorate, but don't pre-emphasize the fact that, by the way, this isn't the field I studied in my doctor's dissertation or my medical research. And on top of that, to then claim that you're a neuroscience researcher because you enjoyed reading some abstracts, which we all know when you read research papers, don't just read the abstract. Reads the abstract, then claims to understand neuroscience, which I can tell you is not in a chiropractic degree.
Yeah, look.
I have 4 subjects on it in my entire degree. And that goes from the basics of neuroanatomy into perception and cognition, into advanced neuroanatomy 360, I think. And those are necessary degrees to become qualified in clinical psychology. Sorry, necessary units to finish your undergrad.
Yeah, neuroscience is like one of the hardest sciences to study.
Yes. It's fucking complex.
It's up there with like astronomy and physics. It's like it's fucked.
Neuroanatomy, neurochemistry, neurobiology, physiology.
I did 3 units of neuro, and I'm like, yeah, like this is really cool. Like I really like it.
Yeah,
fuck this.
See, I love it. It like I had to apply a very subjective style of learning to remember it. Like very much the way I learn in general. But like for instance, when we did the auditory pathway and how sound and vibration is interpreted into frequency, pitch, and then into obviously sound and interpreting the auditory stimulation. I basically had to step by step, like I would when I would study, like when we'd come up with plays on a footy field or something like that. I would study each position or anatomical structure and then pretend that the sound was passing through as like a football. And like at each point, this is where the ball would go to get to this point of this guy and be up here. Now we're in the auditory cortex. That's how like I had to learn the auditory pathway. And then I had to do the same thing for the visual pathway. I had to understand like the steps in between the first cranial nerve and like the visual pathway or the visual cortex, then how it travels to the back of the brain, all these things. You don't learn that in chiropractic.
Yeah, I mean, you might, but I don't think you'll learn anything that's going to stimulate DMT in the brain.
Oh, absolutely not.
Considering your brain only produces like very, very minute amounts anyway from memory. Yeah, I don't think you can.
It's the drug that they've realized is secreted upon death, like when you're dying, right? It's like that last dose of like.
Well, yeah, it's a psychedelic.
Yeah,
DMT is a psychedelic.
But like that, I saw XYZ when I died. It was like, yeah, actually, you saw.
Yeah, your brain produces very
oxygen,
very small amounts. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I can't remember the full specifics of it, but again, not my field. But anyway, that's a bit weird. People are weird.
But the thing that gets me, and like you said, I do agree with you when we say if it doesn't hurt anyone, leave them alone. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
The thing is, this particular individual will offer you freebies that come to his events, yada yada.
Of course.
And then inside that are like the positioned actors or like staff that will tell their stories and get you all hyped up and worked on emotions. I know the people that went there are grieving through certain things. And it was like, okay, cool. You're prying on vulnerable, emotionally incompetent people who are lacking stability and emotional regulation at this point and charging out the asshole for it. Yeah. And then validating yourself as I'm someone who's trying to help people. I'm trying to help people. I understand you. I understand people want to help people. I understand we need money to make the world go round. However, emotional manipulation upon people's grief and suffering is not something that I encourage or support when it comes to the price it's charged for an uncertified or unquantifiable claim.
Yeah, well, I guess the funny thing is, and it's like I've always said about this industry, is I think everyone at their core has the belief that they're helping people. It's just their
absolutely
their interpretation of how they help.
I thought he was helping Germany.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's the way it's interpreted, and it's kind of like like what you've just explained is probably not how they see what they're doing, right? It's kind
not at all. I'm sure it's not.
No, and I mean it's a funny fickle thing, and that's why I came up with like my method. if it's wrong but it doesn't hurt anybody, don't care. If it's wrong and it's, causing problems, then it's probably like, okay, maybe say something, message, do something, because we do not want to harm people, especially masses.
And this was the thing where I kind of drew the line, was like, you're not physically hurting someone, but knowing the people that are attending and the problems that they have, you're leading to, and this is why we have 6 to 8 years of medical study to be psychologists, psychiatrists, clinical practitioners, is because the slightest slip up in conversation, in provocation, in speaking, someone's necking himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone's seen Inception.
Yeah, exactly.
One word, one phrase changes everything.
And like, you can have the best intention in the world, but if you haven't actually studied how to communicate these concepts to people properly, or actually understand what they're saying, or you've misdiagnosed them with quantum entanglement leap fucking singularity, instead of saying, hey, look, you need to get some psychological help before you come back here. Like, let someone be of sound mind, then attend the event. Sweet. If you're still making that choice, it's on you. But seeing this and then watching, like, I watched the ad that came up, and I was like, okay, I've got to ask some questions here. Number one, what is your doctorate studied in? I know for a fact it was chiropractic. Didn't get an answer. 100%. I was like, what research is supporting the claim of DMT utilization in breath work? How do you know it's secreting specific DMT, and how much of it? A bunch of other questions. Anyway, the post got deleted.
Yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense.
I was like, okay, that's fair. Yeah. So I know where you stand in terms of actually applying evidence or logic to your position, and how you're very clearly based in research and your doctorate degree as to how you practice.
Yeah, it's just funny how like popular this word quantum is. It's like it's a cool sounding word, right? You're like, quantum.
Yeah. Like, I've watched Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah, and it's like, it's really just related to physics. It's like, quantum is a very, very big word in physics. It's got nothing to do with breath work. It's got nothing to do with anything other than like physics. And again, people will be like, the physics of breathing. Like, no, shut up.
No. No.
Like, no.
You're the wrong podcast.
Yeah, you are not versed enough in physics or
and
neurobiology to talk about breathing and the brain and the physics.
It's a gateway to another dimension. Yeah, that's just called acid.
Yeah, 100%. And if you got some, let me know, bro.
Hook a brother up, because
we're gonna do this live show on acid.
Yes.
It's going to be a 7-hour podcast.
To us, it's been 3 minutes.
Yeah. Well, Dave's going to have a long time editing. There's going to be a lot of...
What point did you guys start talking?
There's going to be a lot of long pauses.
There's just the audio of us looking at our hands.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I can feel myself breathing quantum.
I've breathed my way into another dimension. Is that the other Marvel characters?
I have discovered time travel. But, anyway.
But yeah, that was my little ramble. I rarely get into them in the fitness industry, because really we just don't give a shit unless it's really bad. But when it's like specifically my field and the field of study that I'm doing, it's a discredit to people who actually are even further than me, that are so studied. That's like, you don't get to say that. And like, if what he said was based in research, it was like just to help him. Like, cool, I do the same thing. I'm not certified. I'm not registered. I'm not graduated. But my positions and my opinions are based in the clinical research that is provided based on the clinical researchers and psychologists. Yes. This guy has just gone, fuck that. Throw that out the door, throw it out the window. We're just going to start saying words and see what sticks.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like I always say, people are stupid. So I guess it's funny that I feel like social media has created this narrative for people that they need to corner the market and corner themselves and pitch themselves in a way that no one else has ever heard of, ever seen. And I guess if there's only one of these people, it's like, how can they be questioned or whatever? That it's like, man,
you don't know what I know, man.
Yeah,
it's probably because I haven't done 10 years of Molly.
Yeah, it's like, do these people genuinely believe? Because it's funny, you have those that are, let's say, that they're not educated to the standards of like higher education, for example. Like, they don't have a degree or whatever, but their knowledge base and their outcomes and their results with themselves and clients far outweigh what a piece of paper and 3 years or 5 years of study we're going to say. Don't get me wrong. And it's like these people that we're talking about that don't have qualifications and just basically talk shit, make the people that don't have qualifications but talk perfectly and so knowledgeable,
articulate sense,
and actually correct in the information that they they make them look really bad, and you're like, fuck. And then it's even the same when, you know, for those that are like with higher education, it's like, fuck, man, like we can argue and debate all day about stupid shit, but it's like, we know that we've got evidence sort of both ways. It's like, until you hear some hippie voodoo weird shit and you're like, fuck, like, where did you pull that shit out of your ass, man?
Yeah. It's always weird. I find it funny in the fitness industry when like coaches will do something similar. And even if they have the higher degree of education, they'll come up with statements where you're just like, how, like, you're postgrad in this, like you're graduated in this, and like it's like, unfortunately, the universities don't encourage extracurricular study. So like, before I even graduate my degree, I'm going to have like 7 other certifications outside of what I'm studying. That isn't really encouraged in the degree. It's simply like, tick the boxes, say what they want to hear, move on, progress. So you get these people who go through simply just a narrowed echo chamber of specificity and what the exact thing is required for them to know, for them to be certified, get their passing, and possibly go into insurance or registration, whatever. And that's great. It's not dissing that, but it's like, that's all they then know. And then they go into these, like, these fields or these realms and speak with certainty on things that have a multitude of up and downstream interaction. You're like, that's just not how it works. If you're not looking at the bigger involvement picture here, like we look at the the Bren-Frenner model of socioeconomic expansion, you see that it goes from the individual to the outer person to the social, to the communal, to the national. And inside that, you see how socioeconomics works in the degree of like, does it affect this person at this level, this level, this level? Same thing with like health, nutrition, physiology, like all these things. Like, okay, does it affect this person at this level, this level, this level, this level, this level? And you're like, no, I just studied this and this is what matters. Nah, man, it doesn't. That's not how it works.
The funny thing is, what most people that do further learning post-study, the one thing I think we all sort of say and have in common is that what did uni give? It gave you the ability to study more efficiently. Like that literally what it taught. It taught you how to study better. Like, which is not necessarily a bad thing either, right? Because it is what it is. But that's just funny. Like, thinking back, like, I do not use anything I really learned from uni, because it's like my specialty being, you know, either PhD usage or being biomechanics. Never mind the physiology and biomechanics are 2 very different things, and my actual master's is in physiology, but my undergrad's in biomechanics. It's like with my biomechanics, and anyone that's listening who's done exercise science, you're all going to laugh when I say this, because I know that you feel my pain. When we're coaches and we want to do biomechanics, we want to go into a gym and learn the biomechanics of lifting a friggin' weight, lifting a dumbbell, lifting a barbell. Guess what biomechanics they teach you in exercise science?
What?
How to throw a ball, how to sprint, and how to jump. Things that you don't do in a fucking gym. Like, so it's kind of like, you know, everything that I was taught pretty much in my undergrad, it's like I don't use. I know the basic principles, so I'm able to apply them. But then I'm like, well, I'm going to further research and, you know, read into the stuff that I want to read into, which is obviously gym-based shit. Anyway, it's just one of those little tangents. Good old studying and education system.
Well, it's just like an important thing to consider. And that's really like the story I put up yesterday on Matter, was just like, if you take anything away from this, it's that you need to start thinking more critically and look at the people who claim to be like, especially people that have to make like grandstand claims of education or knowledge or like their certifications, or they use their degrees as like a preamble for how they're the best at what they do. It's like, man, there's 7,000 other people who do what you do. There's no way that your simple degree with no extra study is the reason why you're the best. But, you know, like, you have to be able to think more critically to not only save money, but potentially save your health, save risks, reduce risks. Like just because someone comes out blaring you with, I'm a doctor. Cool. What's your doctorate in? What are you a doctor of? There was anti-vax doctors that were like claiming XYZ of science. Like, you had a doctorate in English. Discredit in your English. Awesome. That doesn't cross over to virology. I'm sorry.
Just because you
let's keep them separate.
Just because you have it doesn't mean you have the authority to talk on other topics.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's like when you look at the funnel of mastery, and again, this is another thing that I'm really trying to nail and really like explore, I guess, a time frame of it, how to sort of describe it. you narrow yourself down to a very fine niche, right? Like I was saying before, you come into a very fine point of the funnel. It's kind of like an hourglass. Once you get to that fine point and you're so versed and educated, the world opens up into terms of like what you can now do because you're that specific person for that thing. Yeah. And the world might need it. And therefore you can display it or deploy it, similar to how Peterson has with his clinical psychological research. Awesome. Now the world is at the bottom of the hourglass for him. However, that very fine, narrow niche there means that while you're specific here, at these other places, you're like at the top tier, like you're at the top end. Yeah. At the very best, you're like another chasm down, maybe where it's like, oh, I'm kind of in here. Yeah. Like for me, I'll only ever be mid-range of nutrition and physiology. I'm not going to be a like clinical exercise scientist. Never going to be that. But I know a fuckload about training. I know a fuckload about nutrition and how to help guide people to eating better, training better, body composition. But I'm not going to tell you exactly how this insertion works with this muscle direction and this fiber. It's like, I'll know them, but I'm not going to explain them to you because it just isn't relevant.
Well, yeah, exactly right. You know what you need to know for the position that you're in.
Exactly. And that's getting the general person to a much better body composition, stronger, healthier, leaner, maybe to stage. But when it comes to psychology, based on the interactions I've had alone with people in the fitness industry, like I'm already below that. Yeah. And that's not a diss on anyone. It's just simply that people don't study it. So it'll get to a point where I'm very versed in that and only so versed in these things because you only have so much time. You can't be versed in everything.
Exactly right. And I can never remember the phenomenon that there is a technical word for it where you can only take in so much information before you start leaking information and forgetting things. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Really does my head in. But it's like there's only so much room in your brain.
Yeah, we like emotional encoding is a very significant part of perception and memory cognition. It's just a part of how it works. At a certain point, am I going to use all this clinical psych stuff or am I going to use some of this nutrition stuff? Well, then I probably don't have the memory capacity to go, I only have so much RAM, right? I only have so much capacity to go a doctorate of psychology and I'm also going to do a doctorate of nutrition. You're probably not. You're probably not going to do that in your lifetime. You're either going to be very, very broke or not apply anything you've learned.
Yeah, exactly. Or be very, very rich to have a lot of time on your hands.
Or that you're just bored, yeah.
Yeah, there's always the other side to that equation.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess another talking topic is post shows now that season A is pretty much done and dusted.
Yes.
Some cool, I guess, results going through, but
yes,
we have some, I guess, people in negative frames of mind post show, and it's something that I try to push with a lot of clients, whether they're wanting to do photo shoots or whether they're just wanting to get leaner. But same psychology, I think, applies to shows, tying their identity to the outcome. And it's like you are more than a set of criteria based on people's perception on the day of judging.
Yes.
And it's just,
you have to understand there is one person in every division, whether you're natty, enhanced, whether it's IFBB, NABA, ICN, WNBF, AKCD, and every other algebra letter.
LGBT. Wait, no, wrong one.
different group, right?
Yeah, same.
You have to remember that you have to enjoy the process of progression. Otherwise, you're simply setting yourself up for disaster because there is politics, there is subjectivism in it. There is a definitive criteria that's subjectively applied. There is people that are years of training ahead of you. There are people that are genetically more gifted than you. There are people who are willing to do more drugs than you, that are dieted harder than you, that have got more money than you, that have better coaches than you, or simply their coaches aren't as versed as other ones. All these things come into play as to whether or not you win, and you can't deny that it doesn't. So if your entire identity is based on the fact of whether you won or lost and not how can I improve, you're kind of going to come out of it in a very poor space. And this is why, like I've been saying, I really wish I had the time and money to start. I would fund the research myself because I think it's so fascinating, but the psychology of prep from start to finish to post show, because it's so missed when coaches will just simply like, this is where it always amuses me when people are like, no, nutrition's more important, physiology is more important. Do my certification because it makes you the best coach in the world.
Sorry, none of them are affiliated with the ISSN. Just thought I'd throw that one back in there. Pretty much.
Shooter McGavin over here. But at the same time, in saying that, you know, it's great. Say you have the most perfect nutrition system or perfect training system. You also then have someone's head to contend with. who's now based their entire life on this one set date because you haven't explained to them about the physiological process of progressive goals. And you've simply got them like they're fixated on this one date. Like, I'm going to win this show. It's like, cool. Are you really? Like, it's your first year competing. You're probably not doing a lot of drugs. You're probably not posing as much as you think you are. You're probably not doing all these things. It's like in your head, you probably are doing a lot, but we also know where your stress levels are, your digestion is, your health is. We can't push things any further. So it feels like a lot. You're probably not doing as much as you think. There's other people who've done it longer, probably in better musculature positions. You simply can't be obsessed with the win and then expect to come out of it mentally stable. However, these coaches they don't take the time to study the psychology of it. And then these clients sort of come out, they finish on the pay date. That's it. See you later. We'll talk soon when you're ready to do another show. It's like, man, there's so much more to a client's health than just simply numbers and paying you money. Like, even if you want them to come back, don't you want them to leave in a healthy mental position? What's right?
The post show is like the pivotal part.
Yeah.
Like it is, I feel like it's almost the most important part, because if you've done so well to get to the show, like, again, congrats, like you've killed it.
Yeah.
But the post show is now the most important thing in your immediate future.
Yeah.
Like,
it takes priority of everything.
100%. And it's just like, if you have a coach who's like, I guess coaches do packs, right? And they do maybe like 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, depending on, I guess, the system that they employ. But it needs to be, if you're coaching a physique based client who's, going to stage and all that sort of shit, whether, you're good or not, like, you need to have a period of time post show, and they have to be locked in, because even if they get to, showtime and they say at the end of the show, now, like, I'm going to, move away, or, your pack's finished or whatever, like your coaching service is finished, it needs to be included, because it's for their health. Unless they're an experienced enough client who's also a coach potentially that may know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, I'd probably almost question it, purely because
we're subjectively not psychologically in the right place to do it, though.
Yeah, and you're in such a depleted state still in so many facets. The decision making may not be there. Again, that's a sort of neither here nor there thing. It's more so, if they're a client, if they don't have the background in it, the knowledge and all that sort of stuff in it to do it themselves, which is completely fair enough. Like, you as a coach, you need to keep them on. And it's like, you need to have that included in like your pack or your coaching service. It's like, part of, the service would be like, okay, like, it's 26 weeks. You're going to do 16, 18 week prep plus 6 to 8 weeks post show. Like, that's how it is. And like, there's no questions. Like, you don't, like, they don't say no. Like, they're paying for that. And, if they pay for it and you're giving them that service, and then after that, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. And from that, you should also have, let's be real, if you have a pre-prep phase with a client and you've probably got someone for at least a year, which should ideally be the scenario, like, you're not just taking someone for a prep because you haven't learned their body yet. You don't know what they're like. You don't know what their data says or shows. Like, sure, there's versed clients who you can do that with, but at the same time, like, newbies or amateurs, probably not ideal.
Yeah.
You should have, in the best case scenario, or the worst case scenario, you should have a back out strategy pre-planned, ready to go. So when they get off stage, you can say, here is XYZ. You get this for the next 4 weeks. This is all you're doing. I need you to concentrate on XYZ. We need to get your body back to homeostatic position where you're actually at a healthy maintenance level. Hormones are back in place. Get your bloods done. Make sure that your creatinine levels are at a place that is acceptable. Make sure that your kidney function, your liver function is all acceptable. Let's get your testosterone and your hormones back to a natural cycle. Then we go again for a specificity block to get you building back up. Start to implement more specified volume markers.
Yes.
But to do that, you have to get to a position where you are not only recoverable, but you're optimal to grow.
You're healthy.
Because trying to grow in a non-anabolic window where you're post-comp full of cortisol and full of stress and full of fatigue, especially central like CNS fatigue, you're just not in a position to train properly, effectively, or recover, or grow, or build tissue.
Yeah,
and your health just fucking hates you.
I was going to say, let alone the health implications of being in such an energy deficit for so long. But yes, so as coaches, we need to be better in that aspect, and making sure that the client post show is definitely being looked after.
4 weeks. 4 weeks is all we need.
Yeah, it's tricky because I can't imagine like, if the client wants to leave, let's say they didn't get the result that they wanted for whatever reason, and they want to leave the coach, it's kind of like, it's hard for a new coach to take on someone post show and just be like, okay, well, let's get yourself back to normal and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's tricky. I mean, it can be done. It's just tricky, right? It's like, the coach has to like have it inclusive and just be like, look, no matter what happens, not the outcome. It's like, it's basically spoken about from the get-go. It's like, I'm not mad, I won't get angry, like, whatever happens, but I need you because it's for your health. It's like, you have to explain that to the client. Otherwise,
before you even worry about your next show or if you got gold or not, because you can't say this far out whether you're going to get it or not.
Exactly.
At the worst case scenario, whether you don't want to talk to me afterwards or what, it's not ideal. It's not what I'm trying to build, but you need to be in a plan for the best, hope for the worst. Hope for the best, plan for the worst type scenario.
Exactly.
Have a back out strategy ready. Whether you do reverse dieting, whether you do straightener maintenance, whether you do maintenance volume, whether you do half fucking training volume, whether you do recoverable methods in there as well, drug protocols to get back to health, blood work, whatever it is, have that strategy set up for the client, whether natty or enhanced, so that they can leave healthy and also mentally in a good position of like they know. One of the worst things psychologically that I can picture is a destination goal with a outcome date. That person gets there and then there's literally nothing. Yeah. So your entire life for 12 months was built up to this position. You had the hype of your fans and friends and people in the stadium or the grandstand. You didn't get the place you wanted. Unfortunate, but it's acceptable bodybuilding. There's not much you can do about it other than know you gave everything you had. So accept that. And then simply just go, what now?
Yeah.
I've got nothing set up. I've got nothing in place. My coach hasn't sent me anything. I don't know anything. What do I do? And then you just kind of like in limbo mentally as to like, well, I'm eating at a surplus now to a degree because I've been at such a deficit. My body fat's going to go back up. I haven't spoken to my coach, or I'm not speaking to my coach, but you don't have a plan for training. You don't have a plan for mobility. You don't have a plan for stretching or general function. What do I do with this food? What do I do with my body fat? What do I do with my goals? What's my head doing? Like, what do I do from here? Yeah. And this is where like the psych stuff really comes into coaching that I don't think a lot of people grasp. It's not a dig at them. I just don't think they grasp it. And I don't think it's part of it, which again is ironic when these courses claim to be the be all end all of coaching.
Registered with ISSN.
It's just going to be a trigger response now.
100%. I need it as an automation. Just push a button.
Yeah, it's one of those like DJ radio buttons.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Not
but yeah, like that whole concept needs to be understood in order to make sure like someone comes out of it, whether it's a single, like, firstly, I fucking hate people that compete for an experience. I fucking hate it. You don't do meth for an experience. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't just do any other bunch of health implication risks for experience. Like, fair enough if you want to decide whether it's for you or not. And in saying experience, you might mean like, I need to know if I can do this or I'm potential at this. But it's not I just got lean for 6 months and my coach was like, you could do well on stage. So I'm going to drop 5 pounds and he's still watery and fat and overweight and shouldn't be up there. It's not something you just do for experience. You don't just go from playing park footy to playing NRL. Anyway, we've had that conversation before. Coaches need to be versed in this so that when your client backs out, you are getting them to a position, whether you keep them, whether they leave, whether they hate you, whether you love them, you're in an optimal position to not die, be healthy, have fun. Like I've seen coaches, like people just finish the entire season, straight to drinking and partying. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Your liver function right now, your kidney function right now, the general levels of most of your blood work, your entire system is shit. And you're like, I'm going to do Coke and beer and vodka and shots and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then also power down a bunch of fatty food. And you wonder why, like you go straight to like fucking insulin resistance and fast weight gain, high blood pressure, and probably die.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't really disagree with that. I see it in the powerlifting world where they, peak drug load for a meet, do the meet under huge amounts of stress, and then that night burgers and beer, and you're like have one beer, not one fucking carton of beer. There's a difference. Yeah,
you're not sending it like if it's something you do socially to enjoy. Like I just don't enjoy drinking anymore. I don't look down on anyone that don't drink. I don't care. But if you're going to do beverages, especially if you've been coached by someone pretty extreme and your methods are pretty fucking delirious or dangerous, going straight to alcohol and like high toxicity substances is probably not ideal coming straight from a competitive season that was high in toxicity and drug substances. Just for 2 to 4 weeks, just go 2 to 4 weeks where you're getting the body healthy. You've already done 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever, no drinking, no drugs, none of that. You've had a purpose and a plan and direction.
Yeah. What's another couple of months?
Right? Yeah. What's another couple of months? Set 1 to 2 months afterwards where it's like, right, this is my plan. This is my point. This is the purpose. I've had you can call it health season if you want to. Like I've had my growth season, my cut season, my stage, my prep phase and my stage phase. Now I have my health phase and I go again. if you need to call it things so that you have a directional idea of where you're going, so you don't feel lost and you and the coach are scattered, just have a health phase where it's like 4 weeks back out, make sure your head's right, your heart's right, your kidney and liver's right, your creatinine levels are right, your blood work is showing normality. Probably come off most of the gear you've done to have a back off phase. Make sure that you're doing some sort of TRT, estrogen.
Yep.
Make sure you're watching out for that. And then have some plans in place for mobility, fatigue reduction, stress reduction, some time off from training where it's just like, all right, we're only doing 3 days a week for the next 4 weeks, 4 days a week.
Yeah, I agree.
Then you have fucking 6 months to grow and do all the drugs and food you want.
Yep. I'm completely agreeing. I think what you said in terms of terming it, giving it an actual like name dedicated phase, like a health phase, I think it makes it a lot easier for most people to accept.
You can comprehend it, right?
Yeah, and get on board with that, because obviously it's like, well, yeah, we're trying to improve your health. Like,
yeah,
you don't want
that. We term literally every part of periodization except the post-comp phase, where it's like, this is your mobility and health phase.
Yeah,
because you have to understand that because you've gone to an outcome specific date for goal, the body is going to get you there. It's going to get that white line fever. It's going to get that extra boost of energy, the adrenaline, the dopamine that comes from like all this intrinsic motivation you've had, this external motivation you've had. So it's going to get you there. Whether you feel the fatigue or not, you're going to dose up on caffeine, you're dosing up on drugs, increasing blood flow, like red blood cells. You're pumping yourself with androgens, testosterone. Now you're literally just stopping. That's all going to accumulate and catch up.
Yeah.
You can't just go straight back to heavy training. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I do think that that's a big way the coaches should be approaching it with their clients. Definitely giving it a term and calling it the health phase, which I think it's sort of thrown around a lot now with coaches. Like, it's definitely deemed a health phase. Obviously after a peak drug load. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I just think like that, however you coach needs to include the 4 weeks post-comp at the very least. And if you're not doing that, all that tells me is you're simply going to the date of money and stopping. And that all that really means is like, yeah, you're concerned with the client while they're paying with you. And then after that, it's not important, which to me is fucking ridiculous.
I am absolutely with you, my friend. Should we now move into questions?
Yeah, I think you had 2 good rants.
Yeah, that was a good one. It's been a while. What have we got? Can posture cause long-term injuries? And then it says lines of movement, etc. I'm not sure what it means by lines of movement. Can it affect your lines of movement? Posture is adaptive, so it's really strange in that aspect. It's like, can it do something? Sure. It's like, it'd be silly to say that it can't. Is it going to be the primary reason? Probably not. Usually it's, always the underlying things that occur, like lifting too much weight for your joints to handle, like, or your tissue to handle and shit like that. Not so much as a result of your posture.
I think because there's also we've had this chat before where are we looking at posture under load, posture standing, like that to me, not significantly, I'm not versed in the injury research, but I can see the logic of difference between posture under load versus posture freestanding before you engage in movement. How are you standing? How are you free standing? How are you walking? Like I saw someone say that elderly with kyphosis is not going to have an impact on their life. And I was like, oh, hang on. Like,
it's general statements don't work. Like,
that's
blanket statements, whoever's using a blanket statement has no clue. But yeah, posture is one of those funny things. It's like your body adapts to the postures that you're in over a period of time. So change the way you sort of do certain things for a long period of time, your posture adapts. The Rock, Natty for sure, 100%. Have you seen how many pancakes he eats?
Yeah, it's his anabolic cheat days.
Yeah, it's great. Like, was he eat like 20? What was it, like 20,000 calories or something? I can't remember.
He did between 5 and 7 on his clean diet, and his cheat day goes up to 15 or something. It was like, from the one I saw after his big Hercules movie was like
the famous one.
Yeah, it was like a slab of brownies, a slab of pancakes, pizzas, and sushi or something, or cookies.
Yeah.
It was, something like 15,000 calories or something.
Yeah, at one stage that was normal. Not kidding. Would you rather eat 8 dry wheat bix with every meal, or wank is Clem Ford on Zoom? I'm assuming or every wank. Oh, sorry, or every wank is clemmed forward on Zoom.
I mean, is it me asserting dominance over her? In which case, I'm going to do that. But to avoid ever looking at her again, I would just do the Weet-Bix.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do the Weet-Bix. I actually don't mind dry Weet-Bix, so that's okay.
Yeah, I do dry Weet-Bix bites. They're fun.
Things that should be illegal in the gym. Example: training with work boots or jeans. Things that should be illegal in the gym. Definitely not wearing high vis. Like people that wear high vis in the gym. It's just like, man, we don't need to see you. Like it's okay.
Just bring a spare shirt to work.
Like bro,
Change.
like come on, man. Like what made you decide to go to the gym in high vis after work? Like, did you feel the need to just get a pump while you're at work? You're like, fuck yeah, I feel good today. I'm gonna go to the gym and get a pump and then just go home. Like I didn't get it. Definitely having deodorant is a thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. If you stink, like,
if you
don't get me wrong. If you're ripping a fart or something like that, because high protein diet, plenty of carbs and fiber, fair enough. But if you're just stinking because like you come straight from work and you didn't think that everyone cared that you didn't shower, we do.
Yeah, it's like just cover it with some deodorant, man. Make it at least, if you stink but you're attempting to cover it up, I can appreciate that.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, like I can appreciate that. But if you're just not even like trying, like fuck, man.
Facts.
Should new PT start in a gym or go straight to online? I will always say start in a gym and work your way up because you need to get in front of people and different types of people. And the best way to do that is in a gym, obviously.
Yeah.
And coach all different walks of life.
Yeah.
And that way you're going to get very, very well versed with people.
Yeah.
And then have a better ability to get online clients.
The biggest thing that I think is missing in most PT courses, and most people that do a lot of study and things like that, like we were talking about before, is they miss the client-centric understanding of how they're actually talking to people and talking to clients. Like we've talked about this 100 times, but the application of research in a lab setting is not the gym floor, and it's not the person's life. It's not like that very one specific controlled study does not account for the other variables that come into a person's ecosystem or lifestyle that is going to affect their results. It doesn't just go, well, my coach said sleep 8 hours, but I've got 3 kids and 2 jobs and my husband works late and I do X, Y, Z. It's like, yeah, so can that apply to this? Probably not. Yeah. So you need to be able to in front of those people and experience that.
Yes, exactly right. So basically get in front of people and get over it. Really. People training abs to get abs. I don't know what that means.
Should they be or not? Is that the question?
It's just literally people training abs to get abs.
I mean, they're a muscle that can hypertrophy the same as any other, but
I don't know what you want me to do with that comment. You wouldn't be better.
They're showing purely from body fat levels, but they can be hypertrophied and growing through training.
Well, yeah, the abs can grow. So
yeah.
I don't know what the question is there. So if you can bench 100 kilos for 6, you can bench 200 kilos for 3. Thoughts? I mean, there's no real thoughts. It's just stupid. It's nowhere near the same. Like there's no relevance. They're not associated. Like I don't know. I don't know. Do people actually think that? Like
I hope not.
Yeah. Like there is a myriad of things going on there as to why that is not correlated in any way, shape, or form. I got no comment for that one. It's just I don't have thoughts. Just
don't do that.
Yeah, just because
don't do it.
If you can bench 100 for 6, then your next goal is to bench 105 for 6,
or bench 100 for 10 or 8.
Not 200 for 3.
Micro progressive overload. Very simple.
It's still good to have that goal. Just don't get there too fast.
Yeah.
Thoughts on a maintenance block after a bulk or just going straight into a cut? I am definitely a fan of maintenance blocks post cuts and post growth phases, purely to solidify new tissue. It is very, very pivotal that you pretty much go to a maintenance phase because you're then going to wash off inflammation and all that sort of stuff anyway. And then you're going to see what's really underneath that physique, and you want to hold that physique and be able to establish your new baseline before you move to a cut, because unless you're doing a very aggressive cut, which is obviously the way I like to diet, if you're doing a slower cut, you need to know what your new maintenance is, and you can only do that by gathering 3 to 4 weeks probably worth of data.
Yeah.
Like not the only way, but the smarter way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of maintenance blocks post growth and cuts.
Yeah, I agree. I depending on the situation, but generally for like, especially for natties that don't have the benefit of lipolytics and drugs, a solidification period or a like you said, stress reduction period is probably good. Going through like an aggressive cut phase, and at a certain point too, you need to understand the body will fight you. And once that number starts to show, and you'll start to see the numbers where stress goes up, sleep goes down, restlessness is increased, focus in the gym is lower. So like your present, how present are you in the facility? Those things will go down. At the same time, your weight will probably stagnate, even though calories are the same, they're down, they're low. And your output's going up. So at a certain point, your body just goes, well, fuck you, I'm not doing this anymore. That's a clear sign that, all right, it's time to get out of this cut, get out, go to a maintenance block, whether it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, then you go again, or whether you go back up. All depends on the goal. But yeah, there is definitely room or logic to maintenance blocks.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. They're definitely there for a reason. That's why they are known as maintenance blocks, right? That's it for the questions today. I think we've been on a pretty good rant, educational rant, we'll call it. Is that what we'll call this? Is that what we'll
hopefully someone with
episode?
Hopefully someone with a PhD or something gets stirred up and
please do, and message or jump on. We'll have you on and we'll roast you on the podcast because that's fun.
Yeah. We'll make sure we refer to you as a doctorate of your field.
Yeah. Hello, doctorate of.
Yeah, doctorate of
philosophy.
of liberal arts.
Yeah, of just art.
That's a Picasso. Oh, cool.
Like
I can listen to a tour guide as well.
Yeah, you have a doctorate in arts, so you're confused on what you wanted to do with your life. Gotcha.
Yeah. Mum and Dad just said you had to go to uni.
Yeah, literally. It's like, I have an undergrad in arts. Cool, bro. Like in arts, what majoring
This
in?
is Play-Doh.
Yeah, like what are you majoring in? Like social studies. Again, what are you majoring in? We could be here all day. Anything we need to know coming up, coming out, coming in, going in?
No, I just finished both of the planned workshops that I was running, so that was pretty awesome. I had that experience, which is cool. Can't say I've ever had 40 plus 14 to 17-year-old females staring at me for knowledge and information, so that was new.
Yeah. I like how you make sure we get on top of that. That's not what it sounded like.
yeah. That was a good experience. It was fun. Being able to teach people kind of what we're coming from, like a high performance rugby league program background, like what I wish we had or what was available back then, like would have been awesome to have those discussions or that knowledge. I had the SDC workshop, which was really fun. And yeah, so at the moment I'm just finishing off. I'll probably spend the Arvo, finish off the text to this course, get that out to clients so they can start following along. And then if there's no extra feedback and it makes sense and everything ticks over, then we will upload it for sale.
Beautiful. I like it.
Yeah,
not much going on with me. Again, those updated. Today's 2 weeks since I bought my new golf clubs. They haven't come in yet. So.
For everyone playing at home.
Literally, they haven't come in yet. Should be any day now. You'll know. I'll get excited. Don't worry.
Oh, there'll be a story for sure.
I'm hoping by next podcast they're in and I've played with them.
I saw there was a lift on your stories today. An RDL. What was going on there?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna post. Yeah, I'm gonna post. Actually, it's really weird. I had about 4 or 5 different coaches ask me how to teach an RDL. Like, how do I teach a hip hinge? Like, what's my process for teaching like a newbie client? Because some people just, terminology and stuff and how to get people to actually do them. So I'm like, you know what? I'll put a little video up tonight, which is obviously Wednesday. This releases on Saturday. So Wednesday I would have posted an RDL or how to RDL.
We've never done an episode where we talk to ourselves, talking back to ourselves.
Yeah. Hi, Aaron. Hi, guys. Hi, Dr. Nick. So yeah, we'll have that up tonight, which would be good.
Well, fun fact for you. I was given, speaking of RDLs, I sent a message before. Someone from a specific facility where I train was teaching RDLs, dumbbell RDLs, 10 kilos with a client who had an Olympic belt on for the first time ever doing RDLs. 10 kilo dumbbells, an Olympic lifting belt.
I like it.
Or 10 kilo dumbbell RDLs.
I like it. Shit turns me on.
Yeah, why not?
Fucking
why not? Of everything you could do, you could put a power band behind them, make sure the resistance is pulling them back at the hip. You could do all these things. Tell them how they're going to bend over and touch their toes. Nah, put an Olympic belt on.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we do, man. It's all about that intra-abdominal pressure. As long as you feel that, you can. As soon as you feel that, you can hinge.
That's fair.
Rocket science. I'm joking for those that are listening. Sometimes sarcasm doesn't shoot through very well. Facial expressions is where it's at. That's why you need to be on YouTube and you need to bloody like, subscribe.
Yeah.
And we haven't
like, subscribe, follow. Still on the whiteboard.
We've got a new template. Like it's still there. It looks.
Yeah, it's pretty. Go check it out.
Yeah, Ben didn't even know about it. I had to tell him. Whatever. Fucking useless. Chris probably doesn't even know.
Anyway. Chris doesn't know what date is yet.
Yeah, bad. Yeah, it's not wrong. But anyway, that is it from us, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. And girls.
Next week, as always, if you do have a talking topic for us, DM Ben.
Leave me alone. I kid. Send it away. Go nuts.
Catch you later, guys.
See you guys.